What up, folks? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Do you know what time it is? It's meat o'clock. What time is meat o'clock? All freaking day, folks. All day is meat o'clock. I'm talking about meat for breakfast, meat for lunch, meat for dinner. I like it all the ways. I like it in a pan. I like it in a van. I like it in the sky. I like it in my eye. I love meat. And that's why I love Butcher Box, because they send meat to me and to you. Butcher Box is the subscription service that delivers high-quality meat and seafood right to your doorstep. Choose from a carefully curated selection of grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more. And they're throwing in the grilling bundle with everyone's first order. I love a ribeye, nice and thick. I like to do the reverse sear. That's where I put it in my toaster oven, right, on a wire rack, 240 for 30 minutes, and then I sear it in butter and rosemary on the cast iron after that. It is money. I did that last week with the Butcher Box. I did a ribeye, I did a strip, and then I sliced them up for me and Hannah during meat quarantine this past week. And I love Butcher Box because it just gets me that meat right to the door, right there, frozen and ready to go. I just take it. It's there individually, like vacuum sealed. All you got to do is like earlier in the day, like noon, take it out the freezer, put it on my granite countertop on my kitchen, and then by the time it is start cooking time, the thing has come to room temperature and it's ready to cook. Butcher Box meat has no antibiotics or added hormones. It's packed fresh and shipped frozen for convenience, so you can save time on your next grocery store trip. You can customize your own box or go with one of their pre-made boxes. Either way, you get exactly what you want. The beef is 100% grass-fed, free-range, organic chicken. The pork raised crate-free, and the seafood is wild caught. It's an unbeatable value at less than $6 per meal on average. So kick off grilling season right with Butcher Box. So sign up at butcherbox.com/tire and get a free grilling bundle in your first order. What is a grilling bundle? It's 2 10-ounce ribeyes, 5 pounds of chicken drumsticks, and a pack of burgers for free. That's like a lot of meat. 2 10-ounce ribeyes, 5 pounds of chicken and drumsticks, and a pack of burgers for free at butcherbox.com/tire to claim this deal. Are you a home mechanic, home wrench, home body man maybe? You ever try to do body work on your own car? I haven't, but if you did, you would probably want to go with Evercoat Body Shop products. You don't need to be a pro. This stuff is easy, right? Just because you're not a pro doesn't mean you don't want to use what the professionals are using. Evercoat is the #1 brand preferred by professionals. Evercoat Body Shop products, they're easy to use, right? Whether you're a pro or a DIYer, they've got a ton of products and one is going to be right for your project. Evercoat works great on steel, fiberglass, other substrates, and there's just 3 easy steps: prep, fill, and sand. The Perfect Mix Guide makes it easy to get the right ratio of filler and cream hardener. It dries in only about 15 minutes. It sands up to 50% faster than the competition, giving you a flawless finish. Evercoat Body Shop takes the guesswork out of body work, and it's available at Advance Auto Parts stores. So go down to Advance and ask for it by name. There's an Advance Auto Parts right by me. I was in it just yesterday. Ask for Evercoat Body Shop at Advance Auto Parts stores today. Get that project in your garage finished ASAP. And then when you're out driving that car, it can be easy to lose focus or feel exhausted, and then a single mistake can cost a lot. But with the newest BlackVue driver monitoring system dash cams, you can stay safe and on the road. Introducing the BlackVue AI-powered driver monitoring system lineup. The BlackVue Driver Monitor Camera DMC 200 is available with a choice of 3 road-facing cameras featuring 4K, full HD recording, or built-in LTE. All models support cloud connectivity, making them compatible with the BlackVue cloud and fleet tracking services. The driver monitoring camera is designed to reliably detect a range of driver behaviors in diverse circumstances. The DMC 200 can accurately recognize drowsiness, distraction patterns, and more. In the case of drowsiness, which is the most critical status to track, the camera includes 2 alert levels. In addition to the real-time alerts, including beep sound and blinking LEDs, the DMC 200 generates notifications and driving reports as long as the camera is connected to the BlackVue cloud. But that's not all. While the driver monitoring features are the DMC camera's main focus, the wide field of view and the image quality of the infrared camera sporting a Sony Starvis sensor make a great option to record the interior of the vehicle as well. BlackVue driver monitoring system dash cams are making sure you get to your destination safely. So go to blackvue.com/TST. That's BlackVue.com/TST to learn more about the BlackVue DMS dash cam lineup. Use the promo code TIRE, T-I-R-E, to get 10% off any BlackVue dash cam and free shipping for orders over $200 at BlackVue, BlackVue.com/TST to learn more about the BlackVue dash cam lineup. BlackVue.com/TST. And of course, if you want to get on the action, get in on the Smoking Tire podcast, support your show, and get added features and bonuses. Patreon is where it's at. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you can listen to our live stream, ask questions to us for the crew shows and of our guests. You can get the show rather than on the Tuesday, Thursday schedule, get it the very day that it's recorded. You can even get you get ad free. You don't have to listen to these. This whole ad, you wouldn't even be hearing it right now. If you were a patron, you wouldn't literally be listening to this ad right now. And of course, get a 9th podcast every month, an extra show just for being a patron. Go to patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast to join today. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, Mike Spinelli is calling in from his New Rochelle closet. He's got the vid. Got it at the Super Spreader Grand Prix this past weekend in Miami. I got over the vid, having got it underneath my front door because the wife brought it home. Back in studio with Zach, finally. And we are talking about, is Miami a good place for a Formula One race? Why or why not? We're talking about, does Jaguar have a future? We are talking about Sebastian Vettel's discussion of the fact that Miami will probably be underwater in our lifetimes, and more. We love Spinelli. He is the best radio on car radio. He writes for The Drive. He's written for everybody, and he is a funny little fucker. Mike Spinelli is on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Wow,
you're in a vortex.
Yeah.
you're in one of them infinite loopity loops.
I am both here and there at the same time.
I am infinite. I am of wait a minute, Zach. Is
What?
that I don't just recognize my Instagram.
What's your Instagram
thing?
That is your Instagram.
I am infinite. I am like a sideways 8. I am a horizontal ocho.
It's weird they thought of that.
That's another good post-grunge album. Horizontal Ocho.
That is very good.
Yeah, that is. Oh yeah.
God, am I good at naming shit?
Why did they make Infinity a horizontal 8 and someone was like, well, it still loops when it's an 8 too? They're like,
does.
no, this is different. Like,
But you
is
don't.
it
You don't.
safe?
He said you don't understand. This one is like this.
It's just branding.
It's just
Wait, so
because
that was a sublime. Sorry, I think that was a sublime bootleg, wasn't it?
horizontal ocho.
Horizontal Ocho.
Horizontal ocho is when you shoot up and pass out for 8 hours. That's a sublime. That's called the Long Beach. That's called taking a Long Beach ocho. Dude, I feel inspired to do like improv today because I was listening to my new favorite podcast on the way down from the shoot, which is called Are You Garbage? Are you familiar with this show?
Well, I am familiar through your social media. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, but it sounds. Tell me more about it.
I mistakenly called it Two Goombas from Queens, the other last show. It's not actually correct.
Chicago?
It's Philly. It's South
Philly.
Jersey, Philly. I heard him talk about Wawa, and he referred to someone as Johns, and I was like, oh, this is Philly. This is definitely Philly. And it's,
did he say ocean for ocean? Or,
no, he said water, though.
Oh,
he was
water,
just talking
water,
about
yeah.
having a water. Yeah, water.
That's why I got confused. Because
So
they have
I'm
some
gonna-
other words that sound like Chicago, but it wasn't all Chicago.
No, it's Philly. It's definitely.
There's a water line. I think it starts in Delaware and it goes down just. It's like right in the middle of there. You say.
You mean the water? You mean the water gap?
The water gap, the Delaware water gap. Yes, not bad. God damn.
It's a gap. It's a water gap, and
It's the water gap. It's like above New York. It's like the Aunt Belt. So we're
Yep.
like above New York. You say Aunt, and then all of a sudden you don't again. It's like
where'd
what?
you grow up? Auntie Lake.
Auntie Lake. It's like yeah. Oh, I know where you live.
That was like this morning. The discussion on Are You Garbage was like, how do you know if you're really rich or really poor if you live on a lake?
It's kind of a Jeff Foxworthy bit, but it's a new one. I like it.
Yeah,
Oh
oldie.
man. I've been watching Ozark. I was just finishing up Ozark. Did I see the rest? No, I haven't finished it yet. So don't tell me about it. Don't tell me how it ends.
I think
But yes, that's
Spinelli and
kind of
I
thing.
just had a week that was like out of April 2020, where we were the last people to get COVID and had to sit at home for a week.
Well, it's like I said like I don't want to be the last guy to get COVID. I mean, I meant like the last guy, out of the building. Basically, that's no. But like, I mean, I didn't realize like it kind of. I mean, it does suck. But even like you're vaxxed up, you got all the shit, and it's like it still sucks. It's not like
Well, you just learned what house arrest is like. It's like this is what when people are like, how could you? You're not in jail. You're in a house. You got your TV. You got your kitchen. How bad could it be? Well, it's fucking pretty boring. It sucks.
Pretty fucking boring.
It's pretty boring. I thought I was the last, and then I found out that you were a couple days after me. But now that I'm not a danger to humanity anymore and out and about, I found out Nino, our pal Nino, who was our editor on the Drive show and on all that, and now is a clothing designer and works with Mark Wahlberg's production company and all that shit. He has not gotten it still, so he's really the last. He's the last one standing. It must be that Sicilian blood and all the weed. His theory is it's well. Remember there was that study that like cannabinoids somehow blocked COVID somehow. There was a thing. I mean, obviously, it's the kind of thing Joe Rogan would be talking about. And
I was going to say, I missed that podcast, that particular podcast.
No, but there was an actual. It was an actual study. I didn't hear about more than one study, but there was some kind of study linking cannabinoids to some type of resistance to COVID.
That's interesting. Well, that's like one of those things that, like, the dudes that would corner you at the party and tell you about all the things that that cannabis could do for you.
Yeah.
But that
remember Tommy
one of those
Chong cured his cancer by stuffing hash oil up his ass? It's like that.
But like, I mean, that one of the things I remember was that they used to use it like in the 1600s for people with asthma because it increases your oxygen uptake.
Oh.
So that was just one thing I remember is the oxygen uptake part. So like, if you're skiing or jogging or something, I mean, I don't know whether like smoking a joint before that is necessarily good or bad for you, but like
My dad will tell you it's good.
I mean, yeah, I could tell you that it really makes skiing a lot more fun.
As I remember, yes.
I think most snowboarders from 14 to 23 that live at Breckenridge will be like, it's definitely for the oxygen.
You know what I learned when I quit
Totally.
smoking pot, actually, is that doing the activities that I enjoyed smoking pot before doing, like athletic-ish activities such as skiing and golf and whatever, when you stop smoking pot and switch to alcohol for those activities, you get way worse at them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
way
it's not the
worse.
same.
No.
Yeah, it's not the same. Well,
I
we
have
used to,
yeah, go ahead.
we used to, I mean, like riding bicycles in the city, like when I was in, I was in school or just riding. It was like you'd smoke a joint in Central Park, and then like the whole ride all the way downtown felt like Tron. It's like, and it just like felt like your skills were better. But
Cycling and weed go together really, really well. Tom Morningstar is exemplary of that. He would he would smoke like 7 joints and then climb a mountain on a bike. Like when he would go on his bike rides, like if I go on a bike ride, I'll do like 15 miles, 18 miles, like a pretty decent bike ride. I don't have a super fast like road bike. I have a mountain bike. So like it's decent. It's probably like, 2 hours of riding. Tom would smoke like 7 joints, get full spandexed up, get his fucking click-in shoes going, and then ride his carbon fiber bicycle over the Santa Monica Mountains twice.
Oh no.
Like he would ride to the valley and then ride back.
Yeah.
Like I was like, what the fuck? And then he would stop to smoke joints on top of the mountain and then keep going. Like, wow.
I've never understood Tom's sort of physical prowess and that. I mean, like that kind of shit. Like I went over there on a Saturday morning. I think I was picking up like a drive or something when he lived in New York, and like I was going over to his place. And of course, like I'm showing up Saturday morning, so I'm bringing food, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bringing, arepas, I'm bringing a bacon, egg, and cheese. I'm bringing like whatever was downstairs from him in Portchester, right? And Pocho, like they have all the best shit for breakfast. So I come.
It is a breakfasting town. Yeah.
It's a breakfasting town. So I show up. He's like, yeah, nah.
What are you having? What are you gonna have for breakfast? I'm gonna have a joint and a beer, and I'm gonna ride my bicycle 65 miles
And some tofu.
Yeah.
He's pretty vegan.
I was like, where are you going? He was like, I don't know, Connecticut somewhere. I was like, Connecticut? Like where? Like Richfield? Like some crazy. I mean, I was like, all right, well, I guess more for me.
Yeah. No, he would do like a 65er. It was fucking crazy.
It's cool.
Yeah.
In high school, my friends smoked pot. I didn't. And most of my friends would sit around and talk about how they hate the establishment, one of which who then went to work for an investment bank.
Of course.
And he wore a Bad Religion shirt all the time. My friend Igor would leave on his mountain bike with no lights, because it'd be a full moon, and he would go ride up Empire Grade and go mountain biking down to Highway 1 and ride back. And we'd be like, well, I hope we see you in 3 hours. And he's like, yes, if you don't, wait till morning, come get me.
If you don't, I am probably roadkill.
He was like Tom. He's just smoke a joint and get inspired.
Yeah. So anyway, weed probably doesn't stop COVID, but it's a really good reason to smoke
That's
a lot of weed. And if you have to tell that to yourself, like, fucking knock yourself out. That's fine. No judgment.
The Martha Stewart Snoop Dogg booster shot is just cannabis.
No judgment here. Yeah, right. Yeah. I also, on top of, I also just completed my 3-week tour of microdosing psilocybin, which is, I think,
Tell me more.
I have to say, I think it worked. Like, I actually think it worked. I also cut my drinking by 85%. I went from drinking 5 or 6 nights a week, not like getting wasted, but wine with dinner, 5 nights, 6 nights a week to 1 night a week. And between that and microdosing, I have had basically no self-loathing or negative thoughts about myself in probably 3 weeks.
Whoa.
I had like so much anxiety when I thought I gave Marco COVID because his wife has cancer. But shout out to masks, by the way, because Marco came with me to Phoenix in the car. We're in the Lucid for 12 hours together collectively. I wore a mask because I was scared I was going to give him COVID, and that motherfucker did not get COVID.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Masks actually work. But other than that anxiety.
That's the whole point. And I think that's the point that gets lost, I think, in the arguing conversation, is that's the whole point of it, is that his wife is compromised, or her music was compromised. You did that to protect that. I mean, it worked, and let's just, shut the fuck up about the rest of it. Yeah.
Masks actually work. That's why doctors wear them. That's why.
Yeah.
I went to the dentist a couple weeks ago where, you have to fucking, obviously, they're in your mouth. You're obviously not wearing a mask. And I'm all like, sorry, I've got to take my mask off. And they're like, oh, nobody in this office has gotten COVID ever. And I was like,
Right.
really? Nobody? She's like, yeah, we all wear fucking masks all
day long.
Nobody
Yeah.
gets it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's you should just tell people that.
Wow.
Well, so I'm curious about the microdosing stuff. Being someone who, like you, has moments of self-loathing that maybe related to chemical use or whatnot, but whatever. But
So what
what was that?
I mean, by the way, a shrink told me to try this. It wasn't, I didn't just decide to try it. Like a shrink told me. And I'm not giving medical advice right now. I'm just talking about my own personal experience. So ask your own goddamn shrinks, people. But my issues were not chemical in nature. I didn't have a chemical imbalance, so my doctor didn't think I needed Prozac or any of that kind of stuff. He said that my self-loathing issues come from how I taught myself to hate myself,
Right.
which is not far from the truth. That's pretty accurate, actually, from experiences and how I've been talking to myself for years. And so he said what the microdosing does is it resets your baseline, and if your baseline is fear because you've been in a war, if your baseline is trauma because you were abused, if your baseline is whatever, not where it should be, this supposedly resets it. So I did about 125 milligrams, which is like a little less than a tenth of a dose of mushrooms, 2 days on, 2 days off for 3 weeks. I didn't feel anything. I never got like the least bit high, never felt anything from it. Did it through my sickness. Didn't seem to affect anything else. And combined with drinking a very, very small amount of alcohol by comparison, and cutting a lot of that, I feel pretty good.
That's amazing.
I mean,
the last time the only real experience I have with that shit is mixing them, going to Jamaica and buying a giant bag of them and mixing them with the daiquiris at the bar, and then spending the entire night staring at the moon. Yeah, like there was.
That's how to fucking do it.
Well, it was pretty amazing because we were like, "What the hell do we do with these things?" And the bartender was like, "Why don't you put them in a daiquiri, man?" And we were like,
we got a blender. Let's fucking spin them up, brother.
In Thailand, that's on menus.
Yeah, we got served them off a menu in Thailand. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was legit.
The daiquiris turned like a really weird shade of black.
It turned into Huel. It was a Huel.
It was the craziest. It was the craziest thing. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure the dosage would have been a lot less than that.
Yeah, the key to microdosing is that micro part.
You don't want to notice it. If you
feel it, you've
far.
eaten too much. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like I'm not recommending necessarily, but like I don't know, and I don't. It could also be total placebo. It might have done absolutely nothing. It might be just because of alcohol as a depressant, and cutting out a vast majority of the alcohol has a much bigger effect than I thought.
You should read the book by Michael Pollan. It's all about how psychedelics affect your brain, or you can listen to like him on Joe Rogan or something, but he studied it really well, wrote like a 300-page book.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is about how things like psilocybin, MDMA under therapeutic conditions like rewire your brain in a very good way. And one of the most interesting things they've talked about with psilocybin is that the effects of the treatment are usually noticeable and stay 6 months, a year. Like it's not a thing where you're feeling stressed, you have a drink, and your stress goes down for like a few hours, but then when you wake up, it's back again, or whatever else. Like it's like these lessons that you have with yourself stick, like really at your hardware level, and then stay with you for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out. I don't have any more. So we're gonna not do them until I can find some more.
What's the legality of them? I mean,
Not
are they
not
they're
legal.
not-
Illegal. Yeah, illegal. Illegal to buy, illegal to possess. Yeah.
In this city. I think in Oakland they decriminalized them, in Denver. But
Well,
we don't live there.
I'm getting ads on Instagram for something called Mind Bloom that is like a mushroom-based psychology kind of program.
Interesting.
I don't know what the fuck is up. I haven't looked at it in depth, but like I gotta get the connecting somehow again. But I don't know. I'm gonna see. 3 weeks seems like a good starting point, so we'll start there. But
Because I don't think you want to do it for like 6 months straight. You know.
I mean, I read that some people do it ongoing. I read that some people do it in waves. I don't know, but 3 weeks seems like a good.
I think it seems like a good idea to stop, because then you find out what your baseline is. If you do it for 3 years straight, that seems like someone who's just like, I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how that's going. How was the? I want to talk about the Super Spreader Grand Prix.
Yes.
The SSGP.
Okay. Boy. Speaking of that.
You all right?
Okay, much better. Yeah. Wow. So, okay. So I went with Aston Martin, right? I went on a junket, which was fun. It was also very much where I was feeling like the thing that I sort of regret is that I didn't go with like Red Bull and end up at all the parties and like do all the offsite stuff that was going on. Although I don't really regret that, because like everybody I know who did that stuff, like didn't sleep ever.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm
could
not
either
really
go with
there
an
now.
automaker, you could go with an energy. I would like to go with a drug dealer. Like I'm going to go on the cocaine bandwagon. No.
Yeah.
But like,
Well,
it
back
seems
to
like
the
there's a lot of
cocaine.
opportunities for press junkets to the Miami Grand Prix.
There was a lot of that shit. I mean, the one junket that everyone in my hotel seemed to be on except us was the hooker junket. Because
Oh my
I'll tell
God.
you what, I haven't seen that many prostitutes in one place since Giuliani administration. Like it really
Dude.
was.
So it really was Monaco. It was America's Monaco.
So it really kind of was. Although, like the situation, God, I hate to talk about it this way because it was really, really kind of sad, right? I mean, the whole we're talking about some very rough looking people.
Oh, really? That's
yeah, some rough-
unfortunate because in Monaco, the prostitutes were all these fucking like Russian models.
Right.
I would not describe them as rough-looking people. I would describe them as very well-pampered people.
Yeah. There was some of that. There was some of that in Miami, but like really, like there were some people that were like, "Holy shit, dude! I mean, get out of the life!" Really, just immediately get out of the life. So I don't know. I mean, not to judge anybody's, anybody's, livelihood or anything, but like with us, the minute we walked into the hotel, like three very rough hookers sort of walked in, and one was trying to find the 9th floor, was on the phone, couldn't really talk. So like there were some, I mean, it was definitely like, to me, it was like Quaaludes, but I don't know if you can get Quaaludes anymore, but like,
No.
That's how good they were. They were so good that they're gone.
Yeah. So the immediate, like the first impression of Miami from the point of view of the hotel was pretty hookery. I guess that's the way to put it. So, and then it went from there to like, it was kind of like, mostly the hotel bar we had a pretty hookery hotel bar, and it's just like, but I mean, I'm sure there are places like the Faina, and like in South Beach where like it's more of the the
Higher class of hookers, yes.
Yeah, I guess higher class stuff. Yeah.
It's not like there's a hotel in Miami during Grand Prix without any hookers. It's just what level of hookers are we talking about?
Yeah.
How was the track? Did you get to track walk or anything? Like,
Nice
yes,
nice
I am
left
trying to
turn
get us
there,
off of
Zach.
that. Like, because I watched the race and I saw a lot of people talking shit about the race. Saw a few people that were on the ground that were like, no, it's actually quite good. I mean, what was your take?
Well, we got so I went with Lieberman was with me, so we had a hysterical time, of course. and we got the hot laps with the Pirelli team that does that like every race, I guess. Yeah, so from the passenger seat of an Aston Martin Vantage, right? It seemed there, it was very fast in the places that obviously are fast. They had just fixed the pavement overnight, so it's hard to tell. Like I wasn't in anything that had a kind of suspension that would let you, reveal what was happening on the pavement that much. But yeah, fast. But there was that one chicane. I can't remember what turn it was, where if you go into the first corner blind, if you miss it, you're too far over, the car jumps the curb and you're out of control for the next section, which is slightly uphill and to the right. In a regular car, that was terrifying. I can't even imagine it in a Formula One car. But to me, like, from that perspective, it was a pretty cool track. Now, from the perspective of like, overtaking and that kind of stuff, hard to say. I mean, I'm no Formula One driver, but it certainly seemed like there were areas where there should have been more overtaking. Although it was okay.
It was not like in like.
So wait, sorry, Zach, put that back up. It's I'll tell you right now.
Is it the 14-15 complex?
Yeah,
there?
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah, the
right
top
there.
right of your screen there. That. Yeah.
Because you're coming into that first left, I think fairly blind, right? So you have to set up for it without seeing it, and then you have to hit it kind of perfectly.
And it looked very tight and uphill, and it did remind me of some of the slower corners in Monaco, where it's like first gear.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like a throwaway corner just because there's probably not going to be any passing there. But because of the little like elevation hump, because you're kind of going under a freeway, you could see the cars get a little upset there before they blast down the straightaway. That's a long straightaway. Jeez.
But like, here's the question is, what would we rather have? Would we rather have a so-so circuit in a place like Miami, not downtown, but like pretty close, within... What is this like? It was like 5-6 miles from downtown, right?
Yeah, but it was 5 or 6 miles from downtown. But when we were coming back after qualifying, it took us an hour and a half to go those.
Right.
Well, it was 12. It was like 12 miles from the beach, right? So from Miami Beach. So that's an hour and a half drive in traffic. Like,
so would we rather that, or would we rather COTA, which is a phenomenal racetrack, but is 30 miles outside of, a city?
I would rather have a decent street circuit, because what we saw with the NASCAR event in LA is that a lot of people that went to that had never been to a race before.
Yeah.
And like they probably wouldn't drive all the way out to COTA, and the money's going to be equal either way. But like I think a good street circuit that's safe and allows for passing, which this had pretty good flow, can be really exciting to watch, but also bring more people in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think people were getting too hung up on the fact that it was in a parking lot, right? It's just a massive parking lot.
That photo that Zach just put up really emphasizes that it's a fucking parking lot. I mean, it was just like a lap around the stadium, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. I mean, let's face it. It's a giant autocross course. It's like, it's like,
the downside with the street circuit is you're never going to have elevation like you will at Spa. You're never, or even COTA has like some cool elevation. Like you're just not going to have that.
You could if you pick the right street, but it's very hard. I mean, it's just
you got to find a city that has San Francisco elevation.
Yeah, like street circuit in Seattle would be fucking nuts.
Oh my god,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, they have okay pavement.
It would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, and I think Vegas is going to be cool as shit. I mean, it's flat, obviously, but if you're actually racing down the actual strip, that's what like I dream of, like a street circuit being. It's got to go in front of like landmarks.
True.
Yeah.
That's like Monaco is like It's a cool place to race. It's also a shitty place to race. But like, it goes through the fucking casino. It goes in like under the tunnel in front of the harbor, around the pool. Like, you know, it's got all these landmarks. That's what makes it sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. When we were like, you know, goofing on Miami back in the day when we were doing the show, we were talking about, you know, America's Monaco. That's what we were picturing more. You know, we were picturing what they tried to do with the New Jersey circuit. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, like I want to race down the fucking causeway, bro.
Yeah, like,
You know, like-
that was what. Right, that's what would have made it. What like Valencia almost like so
Yeah.
where you're going over the bridge and you're in the city. You know, and that's what they were trying to go for with the new, I don't know if you remember the New Jersey circuit and Weehawken, right? Which is a bizarre place to do it. But like, you know, that's where the best view of Manhattan Island is. And right now, like when you go up to Weehawken and you're on JFK Boulevard, you're up on top looking at Manhattan. It's pretty damn cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think Miami quite captured. I know that they tried, and I feel like they deserve a lot more credit than they got from snobby F1 fans, because they put it together in 18 months or whatever, and it was a pretty damn decent circuit for what they did. Now, yeah, could it have been better? Did they have to paint the thing and do fake, the fake water?
The fake marina was pretty lame. I mean, that was
that was very bad.
That was pretty lame.
That was Disneyland. That was terrible.
I mean, I thought they were going to put the boats like in a lake, and like make a lake. It's like, it's Miami. It's not California. Like we can get water here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think they tried that and it didn't work or whatever. But the other thing about it is it was so far from the rest. It was like a 40-minute walk, like to get there as a spectator. So like, it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't have any bearing on being there. It was just a place where, like, when you put the drone up there, you see boats.
Oh wait, so were the boats not like in the middle of the circuit? I never really got my orientation as to where the boats were.
There was a corner, and they were on the like inland of the corner on the other side of the fence. There was like 4 of them on blue plywood to make them look like they're in the water, sort of. But they didn't show.
Was
it very
anyone
often.
on the fucking boats?
Yes.
There were people on the boats.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm curious if they paid money to be there or not.
100% they did. If there's people there, that's a sold ticket for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what services they had out there though. That's a weird thing. I wanted to walk out there, but
Blackwater dump. Someone's just dumping their toilets under the plywood.
Exactly. I mean, that part of it was crazy, but in some way that's sort of weirdly fitting. Like you're gonna do it because you don't have, we don't have piscine in Miami. It's like you're never gonna go past the pool. You're not gonna go past the tobacco stand. You're not gonna ever do any of that stuff. And it's sort of like, do you then just forget it and make it just like put it up on blocks, or do you make it at least feel in some sort of atmospheric way like a real F1 race, even if it's not,
Sure.
So I don't know.
But I mean, look, I'm Monday morning quarterbacking the fuck out of this, but and I think the obviously the only reason we can have a race in Monaco is because they've done it for so long. No, if you're going from 0 to today, no one's like, I know Monaco. Let's
Right.
The residents of Monaco without that tradition be like, monsieur, go fuck yourself. Like not a chance.
Yeah, it would be like, imagine the Greenwich F1. Like, where are you going to down Greenwich Avenue and then like around? It's like
that would be a good circuit. You'd have some elevation. That would be fucking sick, actually.
It would actually be sick.
The Greenwich, Connecticut, the WPGP, the White People Grand Prix. It's all white people, baby. I bet Miami was pretty diverse, right? Pretty diverse crowd.
It really was. It was a pretty diverse crowd, and it was not a crowd that was like overly. I don't know. I mean, you go to France, right? You watch, you go to Italy, and it's not, everybody is kind of letting it hang out a bit. It's not like everybody's in suits anyway in the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And so, if we have some Florida men and women show up, like, so what? That's our version. And don't tell me Europe doesn't have those people.
They need to bring some of the flavor of the 12 hours of Sebring right down to
Yeah.
Miami. You know, the outfield at the 12 Hours of Sebring is where it's all fucking going down.
They need that instead of the boats. Instead of the fake boats, you need RVs.
That is so true, right? Where were the guys who built the giant hot tub, or like sitting on the
like
top
why aren't there like those swamp trucks? Like what? Like
Right.
you could build a fucking mud pit in this parking lot. Let's get down. Like let's get some Florida in this bitch.
Yeah, I mean Central Florida that's the thing. It's the difference between Central Florida and the coast.
Yeah, the Orlando GP is gonna have a completely different crowd.
Right.
Yeah,
But
where do you
Sebring-
see the Gainesville race, bro? It's gonna be off the fucking chain.
Oh man, Panama Beach, right? Was like do like
Oh yes.
the Panhandle Grand Prix.
We joke. Meanwhile, the Daytona is that. It has like multiple prestigious races.
True.
It's like
Right.
super trashy.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean it was cool. I think the crowd, you know, and of course, like I was in the suite, so I didn't really get to see a whole lot of crowd, but we got around a bit, and yeah, the crowd is the crowd, you know, and that's the cool thing is it wasn't like going to the U.S. Open, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like where it's like, yeah, you know, there's gonna be like $30 sushi there, and everybody's gonna wear their polo shirts and whatnot. It wasn't like that, which was good.
Well, I mean, not that Miami's always an affordable city, but like when I went to Monaco, you know, the race is the fucking thing, right? It's such a small place, and the race is so taking over everything that every restaurant has a special Grand Prix menu that's like a super fuck you in the ass price for a pizza, you know.
It's served on a carbon fiber
and it's
plate.
just, yeah, I mean, and they're all just laughing at you the whole time, you know. At least Miami is like a big enough place where, you know, the fact that the race is there, it's not every restaurant and every hotel and every cab driver is going to change their entire business model just to fuck you because you're there for the race.
The gentleman driver's omakase, which is like, it's a $10 million dining experience. And the sushi won't be
call
that
it a
competitive.
stroll. I'll have 3 sushi strolls, please.
California stroll.
Yeah. And you got to interview Seb, which is pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, so we did that. You know, that was when you go down with the team. You know, they always give you a few minutes with the driver. And Seb, you know, the great thing about him was that normally you would just get like I went down with like Red Bull to Coda one year, and it was like when Ricardo was on the team, and we got him and Horner was there, and Horner's always kind of fun. Like he like when he's in the mood, I guess, right? So you get a little of that, but you don't really get any stories. You don't get a whole lot to work with. Seb rolls in, and he's like, I'm talking about climate change, fuck everything
He's
else.
like, next year we're going to have a real lake here, and it's not going to be on purpose.
Literally the first thing he said, right? Like, and we were like, oh shit, okay. So yeah, so that was good. It was he was very, you know, he's got his thing. And
did you get one of the shirts, the underwater GP shirts?
I did not. He did not bring enough for us all. So
see, that's I kind of want one of the shirts, dude. It's kind of a cool shirt, actually.
It's really smart of him to do this, right? He's got this platform, and he believes in it, and that's what he's using it for. And so, like you normally, like for a younger, less experienced racer who didn't have one foot out the door, basically, like they would be maybe kind of trying to convince him not to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I bet.
They don't care. They're like world champ. Maybe he's going to renew next year. Maybe he's not. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, and he's got like the fucking George Lazenby beard going on. Like, you know, he doesn't. He's
not giving a fuck. Right,
he doesn't
exactly.
give a fuck right now. He's good.
Seb couldn't give a half a fuck right now. And you know what? This is probably the most fun time. You know, he's not even in a. Yeah, I mean, okay, like the team's having its issues, and we'll see if they're in season development, like all that stuff. If they're in season development, can bring him up on the grid a bit. But like even if it doesn't, this is the fun part of his career. It should be like. I mean, I don't know if Raikkonen even took advantage of that. The last season to like be even more nutso than he's always been. Like he should have probably used it a little more. But
yeah, well, I mean, Lewis is having one too. He did his jewelry protest. He wore 3 watches to the press conference. See, that's
on the outside of his racing suit, for the same thing.
He did. So Seb wore his underwear on the outside.
He did?
Yeah. No, Lewis is protesting by being like super baller. I'm gonna plug my sponsor even more. I'm gonna be the most fashion. I'm gonna be a fucking model in this shit. I'm gonna be like a jewelry model. Seb is like, I will wear my underwear on the outside.
It's like underwear on the outside.
Wow.
He's always had a little bit of that, but like when he was really, when he was fighting for championships and when he was in the middle of the best part of his career, you don't start that shit then. That's not when you do that.
Well, I mean, he basically has tenure at this point, right? So he's established that he's very good and he can win. He's the big name driver for Aston Martin. Like all the teams that are bringing up a new driver need someone established to also go, hey, pay attention to our team. You used to like watching this guy, and maybe he'll teach the new driver some tricks and some wisdom and stuff. But they have full, who gives a fuck? I'm retiring next year. I already got my gold watch.
Yeah,
they just kind of do whatever they want, and which is speak their mind a bit.
And it's more interesting.
Yeah, and he's got a real fucking Beatles in 1971 vibe that's going on right now. Like
Holy shit, man! That was very, very specific. And
you didn't catch my George Lazenby joke, so I thought I'd double down on it.
I did. I'm sorry, I went past it. But the Lazenby one was good. But you're right. Like Paul McCartney, 1971. Like, totally.
If you ever want to listen to an amazing episode of The Dollop, the George Lazenby one is fucking beyond. That guy lied his way into James Bond, lied his way right through being James Bond, and then as soon as he got maximally famous, he told every single one of them to go fuck themselves. It was an unbelievable story. It's so great.
Incredible.
He
basically fucked his way
really
across
does look
the
like
set.
Paul in 71.
Yeah, Weirdland.
Wow, I
Weirdland
fucking
TV
nailed
shot.
that.
You did, man. That was really, really specific.
The one on the bottom there with like the fur collar, like that.
Yep.
That's
This is the scraggly
there's Seb
beard
right there.
Yeah, the beginning
that's
of
the
the
one
beard.
I was thinking of. Yep.
That's fucking
Holy
great.
shit! But what's the one with the gun? Weirdland TV.
Weirdland TV. Yeah, like a bit. Oh, he's just chilling in studio, about to fucking blow Ringo's head off right there.
That is weird.
That's very strange. Looks like a starter pistol.
Yeah, he is in a music studio though. Those are all music stands.
Yeah, very strange.
You're off beat again. Yeah. You're off tempo. If you could get back on, we could get back to work.
Did you spot any interesting celebs down there at the Super Spreader Grand Prix?
Trying to think I don't think we did. I mean, we were hustled around a bit. We were pretty well managed. We didn't have like free reign in the what do you call it? In not pit lane. Where all the celebrities in
the paddock?
The paddock lane. Yeah, the garage. Yeah, where the most of the celebs are hanging out.
I like if you're famous enough, you don't need a pass. Stallone's just like, I don't need a boo, but what do you think? Of course I could be here. You telling me I can't be here? Of course I could be here. I could be fucking anywhere.
It's like instant marketing. They're like, please come in. Please come in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who did we see? I mean, we saw mostly like the standard broadcasting people.
I thought you were gonna say like Pitbull, DJ Khaled.
I think we saw the standard Miami people.
The standard Miami. The standard Miami is Gloria Stefan and
what's her name? The Titanic singer. What's her face?
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion. She lives down there, right? With the giant. She has a water park at her house.
Probably.
She does.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celine. Dexter. I don't know. That's a Dexter joke. I don't know. I mean, it was so we didn't. I mean, I can't really. The experience I had was fairly tightly curated.
So, what would you like to see them change for next year, assuming Miami GP survives, assuming that we do it again?
Wow, I wish I had a better setup for that. All right, So,
Sorry, I was dropping well-researched bombs on you there. No,
That's really good. Yeah, that's a great question.
all
Thanks,
that
Matt.
and George Lazenby.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was some organizational things, like you had to, like getting around, like once it let out the crowd, it was just so hard to get out of there. It was just so. I think they really need to work on like the human logistics of getting people from place to place, maybe having a couple of other gates to get in, so that everybody's not just piling through to get out. And just, I mean, that's where the super spreader thing came in, because like you're just on top of everybody who's there. It's like going to a concert, it's like, which is fine. Like I don't know. Like
Speaking of which, remind me to talk about Pearl Jam in Phoenix when you're done. But go ahead, yeah.
Yes, totally. As far as the track goes, maybe there are places where they could sort of work on places where racecraft matters more, like where, I don't know, where adjusting some corners and stuff. But that, for me, that's not really for me to say. So I don't know. I mean, I think just basic logistics, incremental stuff. I don't think they need to throw it out and do a new thing. I just think there's some incremental things they could change. What have you heard, Matthew?
What have I? No, you know what? I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, except from my friends' social media feeds who were there. I read your Sebastian Vettel story. I read Alanis King's piece, which I thought was it? No, I'm sorry, excuse me, not Alanis. I read Elizabeth Blackstock's piece, which I thought was they wrote a book together. That's why I mixed them up there. But I thought that was a great perspective that I really enjoyed. I read like a race recap. And I read what Lewis had to say about it, and he said that based on the type of crowds that come to a street circuit race in an urban environment versus the type of crowds that come to a track like a Spa or an Imola or somewhere that's like out in the middle of fucking nowhere, even if it's a great historic track, he thought it was important to bring greater diversity in crowds to the race, and the street circuits and the urban environments seem to do that better than the races that are out in the middle of nowhere, which makes sense. Right. Just like that NASCAR race at the Coliseum, it was in the middle of the fucking city, so of course people who had never gone would go. So
I think that's a great one, and I think that also the cost. I mean, I know that everything has to be $600 friggin' dollars, but like, I don't know. I mean, it would be great if it were more accessible to more people. Although, what does the thing have to cost now for it to be worth putting on, right?
I mean, based on what you can see, this is my experience from watching racing in person. Based on what you can see from a seat in the stands on a road course, your ticket should not cost more than like a football game. Or a basketball game, or you could see the whole game from your seat in the fucking stadium, but you see one corner of an F1 race and the ticket is 4 times as much. How does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, there you go.
That should be like a $40 ticket. It should not be a $400 ticket.
It's elitism for the sake of elitism. It's like, oh, do you want to come to the most exclusive, high price race? In the world. The other side of it is like to get the Las Vegas track built, they just had to spend $240 million on like a couple of square blocks.
Right.
And they're going to use that as like a permanent paddock and shit. Like, that's very expensive. It's not like stadiums are cheap. But it's almost like if you build a stadium for the Bears to play, they're playing there for 50 years.
Yeah, true.
And with this, we see F1 move around a lot.
That's a good point. Having to build a track temporarily is very expensive. But and maybe I'm making this up. Maybe it seems to me that the broadcasting rights and stuff like that is where you should get the TV coverage, the advertising there is, and the hospitalities and the corporations is where you should be drawing a lot of that money from, and not individual grandstand, ticket sales.
I agree.
Well, another thing is like. Wow, what is the other thing? I was ready to go with it.
Got that COVID brain fog, son. I know how it is. I know how it is.
It's really bizarre. No, I think Yeah, man, it just went right out of my head.
That's
wow,
okay.
That's bizarre.
Come
Went
back
right
at
out
the
of my
wrong.
head.
It'll come back at exactly the wrong
Come back
time.
at the totally. Yeah, yeah.
That's the Spinelli variant.
If I would have gone. I would have happily gone to check it out myself if I hadn't bought tickets to Pearl Jam 25 months ago. And I was like,
Yes.
I'll be fucking damned if I'm not going to these shows. And it was 3 shows in 4 nights. I did both LA shows and then Phoenix. And Phoenix, I drove the Lucid with Marco, which was pretty cool. We did like 1,000 miles in the Lucid, which was nice. But I was literally the only person wearing a mask at the Gila River Arena in fucking Phoenix. I didn't see one other person wearing a mask. And in fact, Matt Cameron, the drummer from Pearl Jam, got COVID in fucking Phoenix at that night and had to be and had missed his first show in 24 years. And at their shows in Oakland, the next 2 nights, they had substitute drummers, including, as Mike had asked me about, I think right before we started the show, one dude who was like 18 years old played a few songs, and he was a friend of Eddie's daughter, Olivia. That's how he wasn't a random the headlines said they had like fans come up and play, and I'm sure these people were also fans, but just being a fan is not how they got on stage.
All fans who majored in drumming at Juilliard got to play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so Matt Cameron got COVID in Phoenix, and the shows were fucking great, but yeah, he had to bow out and be substituted in afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting because I saw that and I was like, man, a young sort of hungry drummer from from Oakland, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, what an opportunity! But then it's like,
wild.
oh yeah, yeah. I have an in on that. So
there was an in. It wasn't like he wasn't like a total random, and I think his band, which starts with an A, and I'm blanking on it right now, Ed had heard of his band before or heard something. They weren't he wasn't a total nobody. But they also had this dude who was a music teacher that was a friend of theirs, literally just a drum teacher from Oakland, come play a bunch too. And they put their set lists on their Instagram, and the Oakland set lists are interesting because they have parentheses around certain songs, and it says the names of there was 3 substitute drummers that they rotated through. Matt Cameron. Cool. So when Matt Cameron joined the band, they call him fucking God. One of the reasons for that is because he learned 100 songs in 2 weeks.
That's insane.
He learned 100 Pearl Jam songs in 2 weeks.
Well, that would, to me, if I'm just a regular studio substitute drummer, the first thing is dude, you have to give me the playlist because their canon is thousands of songs deep, and it's how am I gonna know, right? The
3 shows I went to, they only repeated 3 songs. They repeated Even Flow, Alive, and Porch. And in fact, the 3rd time I heard Porch, I was like, guys, it's time to substitute that one out. Even Flow is the only song I've heard played at all 63 shows I've been to. It's by far their most played song. But there was some fucking great bangers they were playing during those shows. And I felt terrible subjecting Marco to what turned out to be my COVID, but he did not get it, so I feel okay about my
There's also other
Phoenix
COVID
now.
going around, so
No, I know, but he was the one that I was with.
Right.
So, we got a bunch of questions off our Patreon, Mike. Some of them are some of them are fun. Let's get to a few of these. Of course, if you want to get in the game, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Plans as low as $3 a month. The Pro Driver plan, which is our most popular plan, gets you no ads. It gets you access to the live show, access to the questions. You get the show right away. You don't have to wait till Tuesday, Thursday, and you get a 9th show every month. You get an extra show. All right. Prashan says, Mike, as a former Jaguar owner, what do you think of the current state of the brand? Oh, did you dump your Jag?
Oh, no. I still have it.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, what's the god damn? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to survive. To be honest with you, there's no real reason right now for them to exist, and I hate to even say that, but the idea that a company that builds cars that has 100-and-something-year-old history has to exist, that's not a thing. It doesn't have to exist.
True.
It's a damn shame. I think.
I mean, they've got the F-Type is a nice product, and the F-Pace SVR was a really nice product.
Yeah,
that thing ripped.
It was, but like, if we see the fade of super powerful heavy SUVs due to whatever, climate, fuel, etc., it's like, well, if that was their game and the powerful coupes was their game,
might be an issue.
Pivot,
might be an issue.
Well, I mean, Alfa Romeo is going through the same thing, right? I mean, do these storied brands need to exist? You know what? Like, I'm sort of in the middle of trying to figure out what brands are going to mean in the auto industry in the next 30 years. That's what I'm sort of. I've been thinking a lot about that, and I've been thinking a lot about brands like Jaguar and like Alfa Romeo, which mean something, but that's not enough anymore. Like, that's really not enough. It doesn't have to mean, like Land Rover's doing great, right? So why does Jaguar have to exist? And unless you can come up with a compelling product, and how impossible does that sound right now to out of like nowhere come up with a compelling product? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I mean, I think an amazing second gen of the F-Type could do it. An amazing
do they have
second.
$1 billion?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how many Defenders they
need
sell.
to sell more than that, right? They're such a big company. They need to sell more than just like a niche sports car coupe, which is what they're good at. And it seems like for decades, like 80 years, there was a lot of space in the market. So you could have these like the MG and the Jaguar, like a lot of small brands selling special things. But as the cars get less and less different, then people will choose the more reliable, larger company thing, and those companies can put more R&D in. And it's like, I think you make a good point, Mike. Like, we want these companies to exist because we love what they've done in the past.
Right.
But do they have to? Like, nothing has to exist.
Right.
Nothing has to exist. And look at, to be honest, like, look at how good Volkswagen is at harnessing the talent that it has, right? Like, look at the Volkswagen brands. Like, all of them are I mean, look at Porsche, right? Porsche is going to eventually have an IPO. It's going to be its own company. They're going to be able to support themselves. They've always been able to support themselves.
Except in the late 90s.
Except in the late 90s, right? Exactly when, that moment, right?
Yeah.
Don't buy a 968. Actually, buy every 968.
No, 968s are coming up right now, unfortunately.
Damn it.
They're great until you got to fix them. The parts are insanely
parts.
expensive for 968s.
Yeah. Well, I'm having trouble finding just the Brembos for my Jack. Like, it's hard to find anything right now.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I mean, the whole point is like, a company it's very, very, very hard for a company to exist without an organization behind it, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Volkswagen, whether it's GM or Ford, that gets the brand and can do something with it. I mean, Tata. Sure. Tata's a fine company in what it does, but like, Land Rover has the organization. Jag, I mean, it's not to offend any of the people that work there, but like, maybe they just don't.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. Sean says, Mike, what is the best road trip you've ever taken?
Oh, geez, it had to have been one that we did at some point.
One of the Drive NBC Sports ones.
Morocco was one of my favorites because you almost got arrested.
Yeah, I think. I was just telling the story.
That was amazing.
The Morocco was amazing because the whole thing of it, like the fact that we did it with a Maserati Gran Turismo convertible, right? Because as it turns out. No, as it turns out, like the royal family owns the distribution of Maserati, so that's. I don't know for a fact, but I'm inferring that the reason why we got that car and couldn't get other cars was that there was some thumb on the scale getting that car. But so I was driving around in the Maserati Gran Turismo, which, you know, it has its thing. It's not a great car. It's dated and the platform's nuts, but it sounds great. And you know, you're driving it around. But do you remember the first stop that JF spilled his like lunch all over the back of it?
Curry.
And he refused curry. Like there was a curry
in the daytime.
all over the back
Orange.
of it. And JF
Oily.
wouldn't let. Yeah, and he wouldn't let me clean it because he thought that would be like a funny joke, like for the show. And I'm like,
that's terrible writing.
That's disgusting. That's not a funny joke.
It turned into glue. So
it's a
we
funny
drove down
joke.
the road,
Like if
there's
dust, video of you actually spilling it,
which we didn't
if
have.
It's just there all of a sudden, then it's just gross.
So then the rest of the car was like white, but a little dusty. But there was this absolute outline like Alaska that was just, that's where all the oil went, dude.
Dude, that drove me crazy. The entire trip, I was looking at that, going, I was trying to find a place to clean it, but we, you know, we couldn't. Like we're in Marrakesh. Like where the hell are we gonna find a place to clean it? But the cops part of it, like having to bribe everybody, was incredibly funny. So the one I obviously like the funniest story and the one that was the most insane was that I'm following JF, and I don't know if you were in that. So basically the whole thing was the whole road trip. We're driving around Morocco, and JF and you guys are in the front, and I'm following. And what would happen is you stop at a toll, and we do this all over the place. But like the first car has all the money that you guys pay the toll, and then we drive through. I just had like, I don't know, had like one of my sort of where my brain kind of goes in an opposite direction. I'm watching them pay the toll, and then the thing opens up, and I follow you guys right through the toll, and I didn't wait for it to come down and come back up so that I could then pull up and go, and the guy would say, yes, he paid, you can go. I just motored right through like on the heels of JF's minivan and just followed them out, and the cop like looked at me like, what are you doing? And he's like, get over, right? just pull over the fuck over there, you idiot. And we get over, and he's like, you're going to jail. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're going straight to jail. Get out of the car. You're going into, you stole your toll. And I was like, no, he paid. He was like, no, he didn't. I saw you go right through and steal the toll, and now you're going to jail, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we were like, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to a Moroccan jail for like $1.50. And I'm like, wow, I was trying to think of like I saw Midnight Express many years ago, but that was Turkish. Not that there's anything to, you know what I'm saying? But like, so I'm like, of course, I'm panicking. I'm going to Turkish.
Like, wait till they find my drugs in the bag. Then it's really going to be.
Spinelli was very nervous for very real reasons. And
I was real nervous.
It took 15 minutes of our DP Will, who speaks fluent French, which a lot of Morocco speaks, to go talk to this guy to explain in great detail what had happened, and like the toll gate person had approved, like, yes, he paid for 2 cars, but the gate didn't go down. And Will comes back over and he's like, we're okay, we can leave. And Jeff's like, he's not happy, is he? And Will's like, he is not happy. Like that guy was fucking pissed.
You know why he was pissed? Because we didn't offer him any money. So
That's
what we
true.
should have,
That's
here's
true.
what we should have done. We should have, yes.
You should have said, how much do you want for the toll?
How much is the fine, right?
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
what we should have gone.
Well, because we all got speeding tickets the last day, like 3 blocks from the ferry, and they have a system. There's a van. Basically, guy shooting radar. He points, you pull over, he walks up, he has the gun on like the thumbnail up, and he goes, see, that's you, that's your speed, like you can't argue, no discussion. He goes, that's it. He brings you over to a van, they open a door, there's 2 guys with desks, they write up tickets, they hand them to you, and they go, where are you going back to? And you're like, Spain, and they go, $200 for all 3, and you go, $200 for all 3 of us. They go, yeah, and you hand it to them, and they smile like they just got blowjobs, and they go, have a great trip. Like,
exactly. One thing you're forgetting on that one is that we that was like a Boss Hogg like we were coming down. It was like from 65 to 30,
Yeah, true.
and they were like 2 feet into the 30. So we immediately got pulled over. So we pull over, and same thing though, because he's got the van. He's got the prison van, like the van with the cage on the inside.
True.
That's like we were like, well, fuck. And then so we're talking to him, and we finally said we're with NBC Sports, and he went, NBC Sports. $200. And we were like, oh yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and then
you
the
just
other
cut.
thing,
Like, can we just cut straight to that part?
How do I
I'll
pay
give you
the-
the fucking money.
If I could
Just-
take care of this right here,
yeah,
right,
that'd be great.
so one thing we can do,
right
But the
here
cool-
in Brainerd.
right, exactly.
I'm just saying.
But what the cool thing was like he showed us the picture of us on the gun, like with the little screen, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And I was like, we don't have that in America. He goes, you don't have that in America. I said, no, dude, we need something like this. And he was like, oh, I show you, this is.
He's like 500. You take this
take
one.
a gun. It was like 720p. He's like, that's
Yeah.
you guys, and there's
That's
the
you
speed.
guys.
Yeah.
We're like, that sure as shit is us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was 200. But going back, so like the guy at the toll booth, we finally got to the point where we were offering him money. But there's a sort of dance that has to happen. Like they have to express how angry they are, right? So there's
Yeah.
like this. You got to give them some time to be pissed off and like tell you that you're dead. They're basically going to shoot you in the prison, whatever. Or at least that's going on with the head. And then you get to the point where, what do you think about that? And then we have to say then, so what's the fine for something like that? And then you give him the opportunity to
Yeah.
throw out the dollar figure. And then you could say, listen, I only have X, like $80 instead of $200.
Yeah.
Would that work? And they go, no, $120, and then you're in.
It's an auction in reverse, is what ends up happening.
Yeah, we didn't know how to do that. Like we weren't really ready for that. We like the guys were these really nice uniform, white gloves, and the whole thing. We just didn't handle it the way that
With white gloves.
guy
In another
was
world,
probably
that guy's
supposed to
bringing you
know.
fucking breakfast.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Actually, in
Italy,
that world-
well-dressed
In
police
that
officers.
world. Yeah, no, in that world. Just in another part
In
of
that same
town
world.
on his other shift.
Yeah. Holy
Oh,
crap.
man.
We had a great time. And nonetheless, like we still had a great time. It was a great road trip. I don't know if that's my best road trip. I think that one of the Colorado ones may have been. That was great too. But like the stuff that when we were driving around, Germany once in 3 different cars. Like we've had a lot of really cool road trips.
Yeah. We got TV's fun. And Kevin says, any chance we can get another round of Drive on NBC Sports or a show like that? I don't think that's going to happen. Doesn't seem likely.
I feel like the media. Well, I think everything's moved on from that. I feel like there's I don't know. The whole streaming thing. I'm sort of watching the Netflix. I guess if you're in Hollywood, it's a debacle. If you're not, you're just watching their stock drop and try to figure out what the deal is. I don't know. Like I feel like that the idea of doing a show like that on television doesn't really exist. And I guess we're gonna have to see what happens to Motor Trend. SVOD now that they're part of Warner, and whether they're going to keep it like that or what.
I had a meeting the other day, virtual, because I was stuck at home, but with a production company that has a very long track record of producing nonfiction stuff, and was very interested in filming a pilot for a show with myself and Zach. That I completely forgot to tell you about. And
Hey, Zach. By the way,
completely forgot to tell you about it. I don't, who knows it's going to go anywhere. It's just a conversation, but they were interested, and I was like, look, this, making shit about cars costs money, and they said we know and we understand, and so there's an opportunity maybe, but it's that the era of the magazine style car show, I think, is probably been eclipsed by all the talent on YouTube and whatever.
The talent on YouTube. See, that's the thing. The other thing is that the way that television shows find their way to big media now is different. So like in software, right, there's a thing called the minimum viable product where you start out with something very small and you give it to people in limited usability, and then they use it and they figure out what it's going to be, and then you go, oh, okay, this is what this product is. Maybe it's not the same product that I sent out there, but then you iterate and you make it different, you make it better. That's the way. Speaking of YouTube, right? That's the way that TV is being made. You have somebody who, starts out small, starts out as a minimum viable product, if you want to use that terminology, and they get better at their thing, and they build an audience, and whether it's on Substack or there's mostly YouTube or whatnot, and they get an audience, and then you walk into media with an audience ready to go, and now you've got something that's worth spending some money on. If you think that audience can be transported over to TV, which a lot of times it can't be. Yeah. So it's much more it's just a much more complicated scene now, instead of like, hey, we bought a bunch of motorsports rights and we need to come up with some programming to throw up against it, which is what NBC did with us. Yeah. Why don't you do a show? We know that you guys can do things fairly cheaply. Why don't you do a show for us that will end up being shoulder programming? I mean, that has its use, but it's very different from shows that air, every season or whatever. We were really just a shoulder show for their other motorsport stuff. Yeah. So that's different. Yeah.
Jack says, I work for Lucid in Vancouver, and curious to what you think Lucid and other EV startups need to do to stick around for more than just a few model years. Ooh. I mean, your cars need to be real cars, right? They need to work. They need to not be annoying. The early adopter thing only gets you so far. Mm-hmm. It gets you your first round of sales, and then that's it. You need to have good service. You need to have knowledgeable people. If something goes wrong, you need to make sure that gets resolved quickly. You need to be able to get parts. If one of them, someone has a crash, you need to be able to make enough body panels so that they could get
serviced
one
in a timely manner.
Yeah. But it can't just be a novelty. It's got to be a real car, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that gets lost in a lot of the success of Tesla, right? I mean, Tesla was the minimum viable product of cars, right? I mean, it started out and they've been able to use software to improve it, and they've improved their production techniques. But building a car is really freaking tough, and that's where you can be somebody who hates traditional car companies because they're not on board with EVs enough to your liking, right? I mean, that was the whole point of the Tesla stance, was that, screw these guys, we're going to build our own car kind of thing. Well, as it turns out, Volkswagen and Ford and GM are really good at managing the minutia and hell, as Elon Musk says, the hell of building cars. So that's the thing, is unless we ever get to a model where you have a Foxconn or Magna building cars for brands that basically manage software, we're not there. And if you're going to be a car company, you've got to manage the hell of building cars. And that's really the whole business.
Yeah, that's good answer. Martin says, press launches from the past that you missed back in the day and wish you went to. There was I heard about a bunch of crazy shit with Mercedes in the mid 2000s that I was not at, but there was drugs and prostitutes and all kinds of fucking insanity that I was before I started doing the gig. Never did it. The best one I ever went to was 2013 Range Rover launch. They rented Amanjiri in Utah for a week, the entire resort, which I later stayed at with my wife, and I could only afford to stay there for 2 nights because it is thousands of dollars a night per room, and they rented the whole place out. Jesus. That was baller as fuck.
Those Mercedes. I mean, honestly, those Mercedes events.
You were there for
epic.
those Mercedes ones.
I wasn't there for a lot of them because I was there for. So when that stuff was happening, I got in just at the end, but I was going to most of the AMG stuff because of 0 to 60. And so I knew more about the AMG stuff. So the one that I missed that I really wish I could have gone on, even though at the time it was kind of scary, was I forgot was I don't know if it was the CLS AMG where they were in Spain and they almost, and this is not like a baller move, but like they almost impounded all the cars for speed. and they corralled them all. And I don't remember the whole story, but like there was a point where the Spanish government almost took like 30 or 20
I heard that story.
AMG cars. Like that must have been amazing. Like I love that stuff where like there's a story. Yeah, I mean, other ones that I didn't go on, like BMW did one at a really remote resort in Mexico that I heard was kind of epic, but because it was such a difficult kind of crazy trip, where there was some sort of Bush airplane escapes from. I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone on the ones that I think he's talking about.
All right. Christian wants to know how he did on his used car purchase. He got a 2016 Volvo V60 Polestar, 26,000 miles, paid 38 grand, got a PPI. Affirm or deny his life choice. I mean, it's not bad. My wife had a V60 R design with the Polestar too, and it didn't have the Öhlins and the big brakes, but it was still a very nice car. As a daily driver, it's a nice car.
Very nice car.
Yeah.
What are those new? What's the sticker on that back?
Hers was 55, and that proper Polestar with the Öhlins was like in the mid 60s. The gearbox felt kind of old and clunky. Slush box, auto, 6-speed, and the multimedia interface was aging by the time we got ours. But not a bad car. Not a bad car. 38 grand. It's a cool enthusiast car.
I think given today's pricing, that's good. And my dad had one of those, and he drove it to like 150,000 miles with pretty minimal problems.
Yeah.
So like I think you got a good, reliable, stylish cruiser. It's just not the most advanced thing out there.
Yeah, not bad. Steve, this is a very long question from Steve. What would you charge per day for an all-inclusive driving tour? That depends on a lot.
Well, so Steve wrote this question. He wrote, what would you per day? And I went, and I asked him, he didn't respond. I was like, is he asking what we'd pay or what we would charge?
I work for Road and Track,
So
and we have all-inclusive driving tours. Like we just did the Route to Vine, and it was 3 days and 3 nights, and it was wine country, and it was food, and it was wine tasting, and it was all that shit. And it was like $7,500 for a couple. Like that's pretty much what it costs. Like, what would I charge? Like, I don't know, maybe probably like $4 or $5 grand a day, maybe.
Well, where would you go? Like, would he like? I mean, that's the thing. That would be kind of fun.
Well, this dude, I don't know what fuck. Oh, this dude's talking about Portugal. So like, this guy's talking about he said in early retirement to Portugal and something. Oh, is he asking about him owning a business?
I don't know. He didn't clarify. I mean, I asked a question.
Yeah, what I would look at Rob Ferretti's Adventure Drives and what they charge, and I would look at what Road and Track charges for those events. I mean, I don't know what hotels and food and all that costs in fucking Portugal, but whatever that costs, put your time and margins on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's asking what I would charge. I think he's asking about a business idea.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, hang on a second. Mike Manillo wants to know, where can I find a car similar to a Porsche 986, nimble analog driving experience with room for a bigger dude under $35,000? Corvettes. C6, C7 Corvettes. That's it, right?
Yeah. Miata is not the answer. He's correct.
Yeah, Miatas are not the answer.
No.
I mean,
for a tall dude, yeah. I mean, the Corvettes. I mean, just tighten up the dash, and just keep. If there was a way to just twist everything like a knob, where you can just, as things started to rattle, you could just twist it and get everything back into flush.
Yeah, like those
Yeah,
locking, like the locking mechanism on some snowboard boots, where you just
exactly.
crank that shit up.
Right. The Bolo thing.
Yeah. Corvettes, dude. C6,
Corvette.
C7 Corvettes. That's where you're looking. Okay, hang on. No. Come on. Sean Finney, ultimate isolation chamber cars for under 50,000, new or used, nothing electric. Isolation chamber.
Isolation chamber.
Lexus LS, right? It's got to be the LS,
Yeah.
right? The nicest LS you could find.
Wow, LS. You know, they still make
Yeah.
They
I
do.
haven't seen. Well, the new one is on.
The new one is the LS 500.
Yes.
It's got the twin turbo engine now.
Yeah. Have you seen the latest season of Billions? It's on there. And I was
No,
like,
they lost me when
LS.
Axe left. When it was no longer Axe, I kind of lost the plot on that. Literally.
Yeah. I feel like the writing is a little better this season, but all of a sudden, like, there's this LS, pulling up. I'm like, damn, I don't remember the last time I've ever seen one on the road.
I see a few of them here and there. I drove
Yeah.
the LS, I don't know, 2 years ago. It was like the last 460 F Sport. And
Right.
it was very nice, but actually what fucked me up was I drove the ES right afterwards. And because of the ES's front wheel drive architecture, it had more room in the back seat than the LS. And I was like, oh, well that's weird because the LS is like 90,000 and the ES is 50. And I think the title of my video was like, the biggest problem with the LS is the ES, so something like that.
Right.
The ES F Sport was shockingly good. It was very, very nice. That could be a good isolation chamber
choose
car
that.
too. The Lexus ES, yeah.
What was the price point again for that?
Under 50, new or used.
Yeah. That's. I think you're right. I think Lexus is the only place you go for.
And if you go used, you want the Lexus because the other ones will break and you'll have to visit a mechanic and then you're not isolated. You have to talk to people.
Yeah. Wesley Torgerson, now that we can talk about the Nissan Z, which I completely forgot to talk about today, and we can talk about that on the next cruise show. Assuming the new Supra will come with a manual, would you take it over the new Z? Did you drive Z, Spin?
No.
Oh.
I didn't go on that.
So I forgot to make a comparison to the Supra in my Z video because it's hard to remember everything at once. And I only alluded to it in my written piece for Road and Track, which everyone should go read. But like I made the point I wanted to make, which is when you're buying a sports car, the most important thing is the character of the car, right? That's more important than the numbers. It's more important than really almost anything else. I mean, it's got to work. It can't be a complete hunk of shit. But besides that, the character of the car is more important than whether it's faster or slower than this other car or whatever. And in my opinion, the Nissan is a fucking Nissan. Like, it celebrates the heritage of Nissan in stylistic ways, in dynamic ways. When you drive it, it feels like a Nissan. It sounds like a Nissan. It's a proud Nissan. It's not necessarily an all-new vehicle. The platform itself carries over, although there's a lot new. But like, it celebrates the heritage of Nissan. Whereas the Supra is so obviously a BMW that's just worse than the BMW version. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's a fucking BMW. Like, they didn't even change the font on the screens. Like, it is, everything about it feels like a BMW, but a BMW that's worse than the 2 Series. And so that to me, and like, same thing with the 86. Like, I wouldn't buy the Toyota version. I'd buy the Subaru version, because when you drive one, you're like, well, this is a Subaru. Straight fucking up. This is a Subaru. And so, like, the Nissan, like, it's better than the Supra because it's actually a Nissan, and the Toyota's not actually a Toyota. So
that's so interesting. It's like, when they talk about it in terms of DNA, right? They always say, well, the DNA of this car and the DNA of that car. But like, ultimately, as long as it hits a certain baseline of dynamic tuning that you enjoy, right? That you feel comfortable in, and you feel like you can control. Yeah, you want it to feel like the company, like that you're part of this kind of, what do you call it? Like a legacy of,
Yeah. Like who the fuck
stuff
buys a
that
Toyota because what they really want is a BMW? That doesn't make any sense at all. So
right, and you're right, and that's the tricky thing. And I think that when companies are starting to talk about how to work together to reduce the cost of producing something that they want to produce, right? I mean, they've got to really, really consider that hard, and much harder than, let's say, BMW and Toyota thought of it. Maybe around where Toyota and Subaru thought of it. I mean, but that's a really big deal. I mean, that's going to happen more, and I'm sure that Mazda will be doing something like that at some point, or
Well, and I don't know about you, but I care about it way less in a 5-passenger middle of the road crossover.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit. My mom had a Mercury Villager, right? That was the same thing as the Nissan Quest. I didn't really give a shit about that. Right. But a sports car is an emotional purchase. You need to make a connection to it. It's much more important than that you can make a connection to the lineage of the brand and how it feels and looks and behaves than it is that, oh, this is a reliable engine that makes 300 horsepower, so we're just going to use it. It doesn't matter if it's from the wrong, axis of evil country.
Yeah, good point.
But so that's what's more important to me. I mean, I dynamically, the Supra and the Z are pretty interchangeable. You got to be a really, really good driver, to really feel the difference between the Supra and the Z. And you got to drive them back to back. I drove a Supra 2 years ago. I can't tell you if the Z is better than the Supra today, because if we could do a comparison, that might be fun when the stick comes out. Maybe we can get them both at the same time. Like, that'd be cool. The Z is an excellent product. It's worth the money they're asking for it. They've done a very nice job. It's got a bunch of good stuff in it, but not too much. It's not too gimmicky or hokey. They haven't over-teched it. It could be a little lighter, but it's not. It's got enough power to move itself around pretty good. I think Camisa or somebody ran low 4s, 0 to 60, and mid-high 12s in the quarter. Like, totally acceptable. That feels like a quick car. But the Z is much more pure of mission and pure of DNA, and I think I agree with Nissan that is worth something. They even said at the launch, like, we could have had an all-new platform, but it would be some kind of twin with something else, and we didn't want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably fucking right. I agree with you. Yeah. Last one before we get out of here. Ivan Capote wants to know recommendations for automotive books that are both entertaining and informative. Anything on the shelf, Spin?
Yeah. I don't know if you're super nerdy. How to Build a Car by Adrian Newey is kind of neat.
Oh.
I like hearing about how guys like Newey came up in the world and were sort of like what got them to the point where they could design an amazing Formula One car, or even something like the Valkyrie or whatever. So that one I recommend highly. I know I have some other shit around. Oh, well, this is just for total Lotus nerds. Colin Chapman, Inside the Innovator. This is one where I'm a big fan of this.
This is when you interview Spinelli in his closet, he's got the books fucking handy.
Got all kinds of shit around here. I don't know. You go, and then
I mean, it's highly politically incorrect, but I like PJ O'Rourke Driving Like Crazy. I like Cannonball. The story of the original Cannonball Run by Brock Yates, I think, is entertaining. I mean, I've been talking about Unsafe at Any Speed recently because I think it's not funny. I mean, it's funny in a kind of dark way how fucked up the American car industry was, and in some ways still is. There's a lot to learn from that. entertaining and informative.
I've heard very good things. There's a new book out by David Twig, and it's all about the process of building a car, kind of like Adrian Newey, but like what goes on between designers and engineers, and why is it so difficult to build cars today? And it's waitlisted on Amazon for the U.S., but I've heard it's really great.
I forgot the name. Zach, what was the name of that one? Because I forgot.
I will find
Is Bob Lutz's book Car Guys versus Bean Counters? Is that about? Is that just a phrase? Is that an actual? I picture that being an actual book he wrote, but I think I might have also just made that up. Is it?
It's a book, and I didn't. I have it on Kindle, but I don't think I've read it.
I just read a book that I fucking hate. I thought I would like John Taffer, the bar rescue guy. I thought I would like his book, The Power of Conflict. I didn't like it, actually. No. I didn't. What's that? What are you holding up? I can't really see it.
Sorry, I keep. It's Limit. It's about racing in Grand Prix on Formula One in the early '60s and how deadly it was.
What? You broke up a little bit in the title there. What's the title?
Oh, sorry. It's called The Limit.
The Limit. Who's it by?
Michael Cannell.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, check that out.
If you were ever interested in that era of Formula One where so many people were being killed, and like what keeps you going when, like that whole crazy era before the safety innovations that came next, it's incredible. Anyway, that's
also the documentary One, just the number one, is about that same thing, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, this is
Zach's
that book, Mike.
was called
Inside the Machine.
Inside the Machine.
It just came out like a month ago. Yeah.
I talk about it a lot, but the Tom Vanderbilt book, it's just called Traffic, which I've read twice. And if you want to know why Elon Musk is a fucking idiot, all you have to do is read the book about traffic and why neither tunnels nor autonomous cars will remotely solve that problem. All right, Spin. It's been good having you. I hope you.
Likewise.
I hope you exit your quarantine at great haste.
Yeah, I'm giving it the yeoman's shot. I don't know. I feel much better.
Good. Did you get the Did you get Paxlovid?
No, I didn't. I figured I was already a couple of days past when you're supposed to get it. I don't know. I mean, I feel much better.
Good.
But it's one of those things that it drags, and you're just like, come on, enough already.
Yeah, you're I'm done now, and
I'm done.
I got the Pax. It's good.
How did it? Was it immediate? Was it?
Dude, 4 days. I was better.
Really?
Yeah, the shit's legit. Yeah, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Paxlovid is the drug that you take when you get COVID, and you have to ask your doctor about it, and not everybody gets it, because my wife, who also had COVID, got turned down for it. I got it not because of my privilege, but I got it because I have high blood pressure, which made me somehow at risk. So they approved me. Yeah. So being less healthy helped me get better faster.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, so I had a booster last week or the week before, and then I got the Pax, so I got through it pretty quick.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
I am like ox. I am strong like ox. I have super immune system. All right, Spin.
All right.
Follow Mike Spinelli on the gram. Read his piece with Sebastian Vettel on the drive. Very good. You got anything? You got any other stories coming up we should look out for?
I just turned one in about the M Coupe, and sort of it's really less about the M Coupe because everybody's written a lot of stuff about the M Coupe, the BMW M Coupe. I kind of went deeper and found out why they built a roadster in the first place, and really like how the stories that we tell each other, like on shows such as this, like there's no such thing as car enthusiasm about the stories. So that was
excellent.
Fun. But I'm doing more stuff. So I'm doing a column called Wheel Spin.
That's a good name.
Kind of
I like that name.
On the nose.
No, that's a good name. I like that name a lot. Names are very important. Yeah, it's good.
Names are important.
They are.
Yeah. So that cool. And wherever else, wherever fine bullshit is sold.
All right. Come back and see us soon, buddy.
Will do.
Zach, are we gonna have a cruise show in between now and Friday, Zach?
I think we will.
We will have a crew show in between now and Friday, and then on Friday we've got the founders of Bremont Watches, Nick and Giles English, coming to studio. Real car enthusiasts. They're a title sponsor of Williams Formula One, also, which is very interesting. Normally we don't do what I call the Noah's Arcade here, where you have the sponsor, on the program, but they're no longer a sponsor. And I met these guys at the bike shed opening, and they were cool as fuck. And I said, "Yeah, come on the show and talk about cars and what it's like to sponsor a Formula One team." It's an interesting story. So thanks, Spin. See you soon, buddy.
I'll see you
as Zach awkwardly lingers on the Spinelli shot for the end of the show.
Has it been me this whole time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just for the last 20 minutes or so. It's all good. Bye, folks. See you later.